Welcome back to Information Week's Valley View. We're back here with the Senior Product Manager of Windows Phone 8 from Microsoft, Greg Sullivan. Greg, thanks for joining us on the show.
My pleasure.
Great to have you here. You don't have a tattoo on your arm that has the Microsoft logo on it, do you?
I don't, but I heard there's a foot massage that I'm going to get later on.
That's right, yeah. You just have to go into exec to get that. So very good. Glad you're watching the show while you're waiting here. So great to have you on the show. Boy, oh boy, a lot of news in the last few weeks. You not only maybe doing some stuff with Windows Phone 7, but also you've got a bunch of phones here that are representative of the newest operating system, which is Windows Phone 8, right?
Yeah, we just launched Windows Phone 8 within the last couple of weeks, and we're really excited about the great wave of new devices that we've got coming out. Nokia, HTC, Samsung, among others. It's pretty exciting because we've had some things that are true about Windows Phone.
You carry all of these with you.
I do. I love to, test them all out. It's one of the fun parts of my job.
Impress people at airports.
Yeah, I've been asked, how many phones do you really need? But it turns out that one of the things that's always been true about Windows Phone is it really is the most personal smartphone that you can get. It represents the things you care about and puts them right here on the start screen. That's even more true with Windows Phone 8. And
maybe we can hold one up here, and one with the start screen.
Yeah, here we go. So
hold it up for the camera. I don't know if you can see that right there. So, yep.
One of the changes that we've made with Windows Phone 8 is that all of the live tiles, which bring all of this information that you care about right on the start screen, are now customizable. So you can select from a range of sizes, 3 sizes for each tile. And really, it brings a powerful degree of customization to make that start screen even more yours. So where other smartphones show you a grid of icons that you can click to launch apps, the start screen on Windows Phone really comes alive with all the information that you care about, bringing you closer to the stuff that you're really interested in. It's a different approach.
Now, there are a lot of new features in Windows Phone 8, and we'll get to that, but I do want to address the fact that you have different phones here. So we've got the Nokia, the 920, and the 8.
What was I holding up there?
Yeah,
that's a Nokia Lumia 920.
That's the 920,
an amazing device, incredibly brilliant screen there, clear black display, high def display, supports wireless charging, has an incredible camera. They've got optical image stabilization in their camera, which really does incredible things in addition to the low light images.
What else do we have here?
That's the Samsung Ativ S. Not currently ranged in the US, but that one is also available. And it's got a huge 4.8-inch screen, really thin and light, expandable storage, nice 8-megapixel camera. And so one of the nice things about this is you really have a range of choices and styles and colors, obviously. One of the things that the manufacturers are doing is really tying into this live tile design and having hardware that is well integrated and kind of represents that. As you can see, the 8X from HTC is another great example of that.
And there's a minimum hardware requirement for these manufacturers for Windows Phone 8. What are the basic specs they have to have?
Well, these all have a powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor, dual-core microprocessor. They've got great high-res displays and RAM and storage. So we have minimum specs with respect to the sensors that these devices have, so that we can ensure that every Windows Phone will deliver a great experience. You won't have some that are running on underpowered hardware.
That's right.
Which is something you see in other platforms.
Now, we also noticed that the price points of these are coming in a bit lower for a 2-year plan than competitors, say Google and Apple phones. Is there some subsidy going on for Microsoft through the carriers, or how does that work?
Well, I don't think there's anything different. I think we're in a position of a challenger in this space, which is exciting for us. But one of the things you're seeing is a really aggressive outreach by the OEMs and the mobile operators to bring these devices to market, to establish this ecosystem. They really keyed on the fact that we have a different approach to the user experience that's completely innovative and different than what's out there. And so I think there's a lot of aggressive offers going on.
$99, $99.99 for a 2-year plan. And I just want to make note, Sprint's the only outlier. Are you guys working to try to get them to carry these as well?
We've got nothing to announce today, unfortunately, but certainly we're continuing.
Nobody's watching. You can tell us.
We're of course, we have a great relationship with Sprint. We're continuing to work with them. They've carried Windows Phone 7 devices, and we're continuing to work with them and look forward to moving on with their relationship.
One last question on the devices, at least for me, is on the Nokia side. You guys have made a big investment. Nokia seems to get some of the features first. How do you walk that fine line between Samsung and HTC and Nokia and make everybody happy?
Well, our relationship with Nokia is unique in certain ways, but we provide we have unique relationships with all of our OEM partners. I mean, HTC has been a long time purveyor of Windows mobile devices and Windows phones, and so they've really have a close relationship all the way up and down the chain. Samsung is doing some really innovative work, so we have unique relationships with all of them, and they all understand that. Our platform runs across a range of devices. The interesting thing to me is that the result of the Nokia relationship has been, in some sense, a renewed interest and a deeper interest among some of our existing partners. So it's been really exciting. I think the results are clear with the exciting hardware that's coming out this fall.
You mentioned common platform across multiple devices, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the larger tablet that's sitting here. Mm-hmm. So why did you bring the tablet? What does this represent?
Well, I think one of the things that, let me wake it back up here. One of the things that folks who use Windows Phone will recognize is the live tile interface is something that we're bringing to Windows as well. Mm-hmm. It's interesting in a time when...
this is a tablet, this is an RT, one of the new...
This is actually an Intel device, so it's running Windows 8.
Windows 8, okay.
And so but one of the things that I wanted to highlight is the similarity between the user experience. So one of the things that folks have known about Windows Phone for a while is that we had a dramatic and different approach to how you use a smartphone. These mm-hmm. live tiles, bringing information right to the start screen, has been very well reviewed and well regarded, and people who buy a Windows Phone have really liked it. But we've had, in some sense, an awareness problem, and not as many people have known about the different approach we take. I think Windows 8 and the advent of Windows adopting essentially the same live tile mm-hmm. interface is going to generate more awareness for the benefit of that approach that brings information.
Especially useful in devices that have a touch screen where you can do what you can do on a smartphone.
Exactly. Yeah. So the user interaction model is similar. The gestures, the idea that I can swipe and move through these and launch things. One of the other things that's true though is that at a time when Windows Phone has taken essentially the engine of Windows 8, we've taken the kernel, the underlying operating system architecture, and delivered on a phone. Windows has adopted the interface from Windows Phone. So there's a real synergy here in terms of not just the user experience, but how your content flows across these devices.
What do you say to critics? Because there have been a lot of people who've been critical of that move, especially on the Windows platform, where mm-hmm. some users are a little bit confused by the tile interface, and there's two ways to do everything.
Well, there's change is often hard. I think one of the things that we're seeing is as people realize how this interface works, especially on a touch device, the benefits are really profound. And when you see a Windows Phone and a Windows Slate or tablet, an Xbox, for example, all sharing the same kind of paradigm, and you see your content flow across all of these devices. If I take a picture on my phone, it automatically gets loaded up to SkyDrive and appears right here on my start screen on my mm-hmm. on my tablet. I can access it from my Xbox. My music flows across all of these devices. Right. If I start a Word document on my Windows 8 Slate, it automatically shows up in the Office Hub on my Windows Phone in my recent document list. So we're really connecting. We have this user experience that spans them, but also a substrate that connects them seamlessly. So as a user, your stuff just shows up where you want it. And that's going to be a pretty powerful proposition.
I want to talk about some more. You've touched on some of the features of Windows Phone 8. There are probably a couple others that maybe we want to touch on, like Rooms and Data Sense, but I also want to move to the enterprise side mm-hmm. as well, because that, what you've painted here is a picture that, there could be a codependency on your mobile and desktop and laptop devices. But start with some of the other cool features in Windows Phone 8.
Well, I think one of the great features is that you mentioned is Rooms. So I'm going to try to do my upside down demo here. But one of the great things about Rooms is that we've had this idea in Windows Phone where, there we go, where the People Hub brings together all of the context, the people I care about, and shows me all of the ways I can communicate with them. So whether I want to post on your Facebook wall or see what you're saying on Twitter or send you a text message, I don't have to think about the application first. I think I just want to I want to contact you, mm-hmm. and then all of those methods are available. In Windows Phone 7.5, we added a new feature called Groups, which let you filter down all of your contacts and say, you know what, I just want to see what's going on with my family, so I'll check in with them in that group. Well, we've taken that a step farther in Windows Phone 8 and had this feature called Rooms. And what Rooms does is it brings together a set of people that you want to have a more intimate sharing relationship with, and it brings them together in this virtual space where we can have group chat, and I can check in with my location. We can share calendars. We can all edit that calendar jointly. We can share photos and notes. So it's one place where we create this virtual four walls where everything we share and say, because sometimes you may want to post something with a group of folks that you don't want to share with the entire world on Facebook, for example. So if I have my family or Friday Night Poker buddies or my team at work, and we want to create a space where we can kind of have a more intimate sharing relationship, Rooms does that. But it also ties into all of the other social networking that we're doing, so I can incorporate that as well. But Rooms really creates this space where we can share things.
Of course, you could look at some of the competing operating systems, for example, Android, right? And what they do is they say, well, you can organize your friends based on circles as a part of Google+. So how do you respond to that? Because actually you have to go to someone else for a social network, because that is sort of a natural way of doing it, saying I've got my social network and here's how I organize everybody on my social network. It would be great for that organizational principle to bubble up into all of my devices and keep it in sync, not only in the cloud, but on the devices.
Yeah, and we do integrate with social networks well and incorporate that very well into the People Hub on the phone. I think also there's an interest among people to have a way that is kind of more personal and intimate, and to have control over that, and to not necessarily have all of that managed by a third party.
Okay.
And I've made the case that Microsoft stands in maybe the best position to knock RIM out of the enterprise. So let's talk about some of what Microsoft has done in Windows Phone 8 to make it more enterprise ready.
Well, I think one of there are many benefits that we get from having this new Windows engine, the Windows 8 engine underneath the hood here. Among them are full device encryption, enhanced security, secure boot. We talked about things like private device or application distribution for enterprises. One of the new features that we have is this thing called the Company Hub. And so I can go in and as an enterprise, create, we've got our fictional Contoso IT company here, and I can create a hub, an application that presents applications and allows users to download them, but also in the same panoramic view lets me have a letter from the CEO, information about help and support, anything that the IT department wants to provide for me, including other internal line of business applications and content. So the ability for enterprises to, not in a public marketplace, but in a private distribution internally, deliver their own applications, manage the devices, and have access to their content, and have all of their users have access to that content, is one of the new features that we have as well.
What about things like Skype and voice over IP and I'll tack on a question there. Are there any plans to integrate that with, say, Google Talk?
Well, the way that Skype works today is we've enhanced the platform in Windows Phone 8 to do a better job of fully supporting voice over IP applications and the multitasking that's required in there. That's another inherent benefit that we get from being on this new architecture. And it's true that we've in fact platformize that voice over IP capability. So not just Skype, but any VoIP application can deeply integrate with the contacts database and become fully a part of the communications mechanism of the phone, so that your contact list lets you Skype or other VoIP applications. Really, and it's not specific just to Skype. We've kind of platformized that capability in the same way that we have with speech, for example. Any application provider can write to our speech APIs, enabling any application to be fully speech enabled. It's not just something that only the operating system has. So we've taken that same approach with VoIP, and that's something that Skype has taken advantage of with a great native Skype app that they're delivering, and any VoIP third party can do that as well.
We've long made the argument that, and many people have, that the volume of apps is not the game. It's whether you have the right ones. But there are still a few gaping holes in the App Store. Google there's not a lot of Google stuff in the App Store. YouTube isn't there. Google Plus is not there. I think maybe Google Drive is coming. MLB is missing. You know, a few of the kind of major ones. So
well, we do have a YouTube app. I think that's people are a little bit confused on that. It operates a little bit differently. It integrates with the native media player, so that when you have that installed and search and find a YouTube video, it'll actually launch and integrate with the built-in media pipeline and capability of the phone. So I think that's where some of that confusion arose from. But there are a couple of apps. As I said, we're a challenger, and we're really excited about the progress that we've seen in the roughly 2 years since we've launched. We've got over 120,000 applications in the marketplace, including the overwhelming majority of all of the popular apps. There's a couple that we just announced that we're excited about. Words with Friends, Pandora. There's a couple that are still out there, and we've got folks working hard to get those on our platform. One of the other things that having Windows 8 adopt a similar user experience and have some of the same reuse of code, for example, is going to help. We announced the other day that there were 40 million Windows 8 licenses sold, so I think that's going to help create critical mass around the platform. And once people begin
You're saying from a developer perspective, I developed something for Windows 8. There's a lot of Windows developers out there. They're 99% of the way there in terms of...
Well, I would hesitate to, depending on the application, put a percentage on it, but there is a meaningful amount of code reuse, the tools familiarity, the notion that this is really part of one platform, that your phone and your tablet and your PC, and in fact the servers at work and services in the cloud and the web, and even your Xbox game console are not discrete platforms, but really part of a broader platform that users expect authentication to span them. They expect their content to flow. Right. And that's what we're delivering now with Windows Phone 8 and with Windows 8.
Well, I'll tell you, everybody I know who's got a Windows phone actually happens to love it, and they say ha-ha to me. So
that's what we're finding as well.
I'd like this yellow one. Thank you very much.
I think you should try that
out. Okay, well, Greg Sullivan, Senior Product Manager for Windows Phone 8 at Microsoft. Thank you very much for joining us on Information Week's Valley View. And we have a mug there for you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep, so that's for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.